the deities in Rajpur in Mayapur. Raghunath deities. They were they're being worshipped now in Rajpur by ISKCON. But what had happened was the family, the village was worshipping them. Then it got less, once a month, once every few months, and then there was one offering a year they were doing, one Raj Bhog offering a year, and then one year they forgot to do the Raj Bhog offering, and then the whole village got wiped out with cholera.
Oh.
Whole village got wiped out with cholera, and then years later, those deities, they were found under a termite hill. And what do termites eat?
Wood.
And Jagannath and the deities were not touched by the termites.
Wow.
And these are the deities in Rajpur, in Mayapur. They're being worshipped now by ISKCON. So let's welcome Chana Ravinda Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhus, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Let's start our song. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Go ahead, Jai.
Krishna, 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 hey.
Alex?
Krishna, 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 hey.
Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Jai Prakash?
Krishna, 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 Paimam.
Chana Ravinda Prabhu.
Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshaman.
Alex? Krishna Keshava.
Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Rakshaman.
Himam. Not bad, not bad.
Paimam, sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Jai. We can start reading.
Okay. King Indra's behavior towards Krishna was not very much appreciated by great sages like Sukadeva Goswami. Out of his causeless mercy, Krishna had gone to the heavenly kingdom, Amaravati, to present King Indra with his mother's earrings, which had been lost to Somasura. And Indra had been very glad to receive them. But when a Prajapati tree from the heavenly kingdom was taken by Krishna, Indra had fought with him. This was self-interest on the part of Indra. He had offered his prayer, tipping down his head to the lotus feet of Krishna, but as soon as his purpose had been served, he became a different creature. This is the way of the dealings of materialistic men. Materialistic men are always interested in their own profit. For this purpose, they can offer any kind of respect to anyone, but when their personal interest is over, they are no longer friends. This selfish nature is found not only amongst the richer class of men on this planet, but even in personalities like Indra and other demigods. Too much wealth makes a man selfish. A selfish man is not prepared to take to Krishna consciousness and is condemned by great devotees like Sukadeva Goswami. In other words, possession of too many worldly riches is a disqualification for advancement in Krishna consciousness.
There you go. This is the Dhanu. This is a Dhanam. Anda Dhanam, Anda Dhana. Something like that. The wealth blinds a person. Too much wealth. Well, you know business people. You're their accountant, Jai. You'll know a little bit about this, about some of these characters. Or when it comes to money, you see the horns and the tail coming. When it comes to money, you see the horns come out and the tail.
Luckily, most of my clients are pretty good. They're in the Krishna conscious mode, not believing Krishna, but they seem to be okay.
You're lucky. You're lucky. some people, when it comes to money, oh dear me, they become ferocious animals. What do you think, Alex? Have you experienced such animals in your life?
Yeah, but when you understand why they are like that, you forgive them. Honestly, when I used to judge people um, too quickly, it's only maybe 10 years afterwards that I realized that I didn't know the full circumstances of why they behaved like that. And I leave the judging to Krishna. Honestly, from my experience, why somebody is too greedy or selfish or just ignorant uh, is just to pity and just to forgive them. Honestly, this is what I found because I'm not in a position to understand their karma. And I it's just sometimes well, I used to judge too quickly. Um, so, but when you truly understand why they do some things, you just feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Uh,
And what
yeah,
about the victims? What about their victims?
the victims again, we don't know the full story of why from their karma or their past lives what's really happened, and again we feel for that because it's human nature to see sometimes they suffer from you see elderly people who are. I saw this in London where my cousin got really upset when he saw an elderly man being taken to an ATM to take money out, and he tried to intervene, and he felt he actually was almost a victim as well. So sometimes when you think that you are being like doing the right thing, I think sometimes you just have to make go with your proper instincts and then suffer the consequences and be prepared that there may be consequences against you as well if you choose to follow or try to judge. Um, this is always the. I mean, I remember situations where I've lost my wallet and I'm straight to my mind. I will go to, is this person did it, or was it that person who did it, or just your mind goes really to places where you don't want that mind to go. You should have, and most of the 9 times out of 10, I find everything the way it should be. But I have to control the anger, and then Krishna challenges me to control my emotions when I lose. It could be money, it could be anything, or even a person. Your mind goes in so many different ways. It's like just having Krishna's unconditional love, his compassion, and then taking a breath, and then taking whatever steps you need to afterwards is the only thing that's buying that time that Krishna gives me. Only thing that's helped me stay above the water. Um, and when you surrender, truly surrender, where you don't overthink something, from where Krishna can really help you, at least to the point where you need that assistance, and then you become receptive to how Krishna can help you truly. I've never felt when I've surrendered to Krishna to help me. I've always been fortunate that if you truly surrender and you don't overthink or you don't request anything in your mind or your heart, Krishna will always be there for you. And those times I stay still. I enjoy the silence of that time, a moment, and I can just I can't say the words because people think I'm kind of crazy, but yeah. Anyways,
That's really nice. That's really nice. That's a healthy way to keep yourself out of difficulty. But Shukadev Goswami, uh,
mm,
he condemns Indra in this case.
yeah,
Um, Indra is a great demigod, but he's very influenced by profiteering. Uh,
mm,
he's very attached to the heavenly opulences.
yeah,
That's one of the problems is when you live in opulence, when you have opulence, you get used to it and that becomes your standard. And then it's very difficult to give that up, you see, because you become so dependent on it. So
Yeah.
what happens is materialistic people, especially
Mm.
ignorant people who choose to be ignorant.
Mm.
There's no ignorant people. It's not like, oh, they're ignorant, they can't help it. No, they choose to be ignorant.
Yeah.
The super soul is constantly probing and prodding the living entity throughout the lifetime
Yeah.
to question this and question that. But we choose to ignore those questions. Say,
Mm.
no, that's not for me to question. But
Mm.
the super soul is trying to help us constantly to awaken, you see. But many people, they choose, they,
Mm.
they're choosing consciously and unconsciously to
Mm.
remain in ignorance. Then
Yeah.
they have the selfish and wicked nature then to
Mhm.
blame the ignorance. Oh, I'm ignorant. I don't, but they don't want to understand.
Yeah.
If you try to help people understand,
Mm.
explain it very nicely, common sense. Prabhupada spent so much time
Yeah.
preaching to people, writing books, giving lectures, giving common sense information to people, but they
Mhm.
choose to remain ignorant. That's their
Mm.
choice, you see. They
Mhm.
choose to remain ignorant. They don't want to. They don't want to come to Krishna.
Yeah.
Therefore, those people have to take the consequences of that.
Yeah.
And on the higher levels, with Yamaraj and with the Saptarishis, and then
Mm.
all the accountancy of Chitragupta for the
Mm.
karmas. This is all very clearly explained after death, how you
Mm.
ignored, you had so many millions and billions of seconds in your life, and
Mm.
Super Soul has prompted you at least 10,000 times, and you
Mm.
ignored him.
Yeah.
Ignored. You've chosen to ignore. Therefore, you are responsible for the mess that you're in now. This is the karma.
Yeah.
So both sides have to be looked at. Your side is good. We can't judge,
Mm.
but we can. A devotee will always think how to help someone, and
Yeah.
sometimes you have to help someone by
Mm.
putting them through some punishment.
Yeah. And
Punishment also is necessary
yeah.
for helping um, wicked people understand their folly. You see.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So, but let's carry on because Jigna and Ramesh are here. Hare Krishna, Jigna and Ramesh.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol Ramesh bhai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Tame kem cho ajad.
It's very nice. Good.
Very good.
You?
Okay, so Alex, you can carry on now. After defeating Indra,
After defeating Indra, Krishna arranged to marry the 16,100 girls brought from the custody of Bomasura. By expanding himself into 16,100 forms, he simultaneously married them all in different palaces at the same auspicious moment. He thus established the truth that Krishna and no one else is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is nothing impossible for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is all powerful, omnipresent, and imperishable. And so there is nothing wonderful in this past. There is nothing wonderful in this pastime. All the palaces of more than 16,000 queens of Krishna were filled with suitable gardens, furniture, and other paraphernalia to which there is no parallel in this world. There is no exaggeration in this story from Srimad. The queens of Krishna were all expansions of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Ji. Krishna lived with them in different palaces and he treated them exactly the same way an ordinary man treats his wife.
very
Krishna.
nice. That's a lovely paragraph. This is God, you see. People talk about God, but they can't tell you anything about him. They talk about God all the time. God this, God that, the laws of God. We have to follow that. But when it comes to God himself, they're pig ignorant. Pig ignorant when it comes to God himself. Therefore, the Krishna book is a great revelation and benediction on human society. And it's a great thing that we're reading it every Tuesday. Haribo!
Bible. Jai Sri Krishna.
So, you know, people may say, oh, I can get married. You know, I can marry also hundreds of women. I've got a lot of wealth. I could have so many wives. Yes, but can you marry them all at the same time? No way, Jose. No way. But Krishna, Bhagwan can do this. Therefore, this defines what Bhagwan is. Now, who can tell me how Krishna can marry these 16,000 princesses simultaneously at an auspicious TT moment? Who can tell me? It begins with S. The second letter is V.
Savra Rupa? No.
The next letter is A. The next letter is M. The next letter is Sh.
Swamsha.
Thank you, Jigna. Give her a big clap. After I've blinking spelled the whole thing out for you. Okay, Svangsha. Write this down, memorize it. This is a very important. When people say, oh, I know God, yes, but do you know Svangsha? Oh, what's that? Then you don't know God? If you don't know what is Svangsha, then you cannot know nothing about God. Now, what is Svangsha, Jigna? Please enlighten us.
Is it when you can multiply yourself, which only God can do?
Explain it again, please, nicely.
When Krishna can multiply his form.
Yes, exactly. When Krishna can expand his own form unlimitedly. 16,000 is peanuts for Krishna. It's peanuts. Krishna can multiply his same form 16 billion times. And still, that's nothing. This is God. This is the greatness of God. We say God is great, but as Prabhupada says, they don't know how great is God. For them, God is great means he's created this earth. This is nothing. Brahma creates the earth. Brahma creates the planets. Brahma is the engineer. This is nothing. They have no idea about God. No knowledge of God at all. Yet they talk about God all the time. This is the cheating age of Kali Yuga. They talk of God, but they don't know nothing about God. This is cheating. If you change the word of cheating, change the letters around, what word do you get? Let's do a Scrabble now. Change the letters of cheating, and what word do you get? This is Prabhupada taught us this. Teaching.
Teaching.
So the letters of cheating are the same as teaching. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, brothers. God is great. God, we love God. You don't know nothing about God. And when we try to explain what God is, they say, oh, this is not God. But yet they do not know what God is. This is cheating, double cheating. Okay, so that's the point there. Thank you very much for that, Alex. It was a great paragraph. Go on, Jigna, you can carry on.
We should always remember that the personality of Godhead, Krishna, was playing exactly like a human being. Although he showed his extraordinary opulences by simultaneously marrying more than 16,000 palaces, he behaved with them just like an ordinary man, and he strictly followed the relationship between husband and wife required in ordinary homes. Therefore, it is very difficult to understand the characteristics of the Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead. Even demigods like Brahma are unable to probe into the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The wives of Krishna were so fortunate that they got the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their husband, although their husband's personality was unknown even to Brahma and the other demigods.
Very nice, very nice. Go on, Ramesh Bhai, you can carry on.
In their deadline as husband and wife, Krishna and his queen would smile, talk, joke, embrace, and so on. And their conjugal relationship even increasingly developed in this way. Krishna and the queen enjoy transcendental happiness in their household life. Although each and every queen had thousands of maid servants engaged for her service, the queen were all personality attentive to serving Krishna. Each of them used to receive Krishna personality. When he entered the place, they engaged in sitting him on a nice couch, worshipping him with all kind of paraphernalia, washing her lotus feet with Ganga's water, offering him and betel nuts, and massaging his legs. In this way, they gave him relief from the fatigue he felt after being away from the home. They funded him nicely, offer him fragrant essential florid oil. Discolored him with flower garland dressed. His hair asked him to lie down to the rest, bathed him personality, and fed him palatable dish. Each queen did all these things herself and did not wait for the maid servant. In other words, Krishna, his different queen, display on his earth and ideal household life. This end the Bhakti Vedanta purport of the 59th chapter of Krishna, the deliverer of the demi Bahumasura.
The demon Bhaumasura. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, Krishna was acting just like an ordinary man, ordinary person, and the household affairs were going on, and cleaning, and a little cuddle here and there, and the normal things of husband and wife. Arguments, of course, would go on. That must, with husband and wife, there must be a nice argument. There's no life without an argument with the husband and wife. Isn't that right, Jai Prakash Prabhu? Occasional argument must be there. And now we have Charna Ravinda Prabhu who's going to start the next chapter. No, you don't have the book. Oh, you still don't have the book. Oh, dear me. Okay, well, Jai Prakash Prabhu can start the next chapter, please.
Chapter 60 in my book talks between Krishna and Rukmini. Once upon a time, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the bestower of all knowledge upon all living entities, from Brahma to the insignificant ant, was sitting in the bedroom of Rukmini, who was engaged in the service of the Lord with her assistant maidservants. Krishna was sitting on the bedstead of Rukmini, and the maidservants were fanning him with chamaras, yak-tail fly whisks. Shall I continue?
Go on, Alex Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Lord Krishna's dealings with Rukmini as a perfect husband are a perfect manifestation of the supreme perfection of the personality of Godhead. There are many philosophers who propound a concept of the absolute truth in which God cannot do this or that. They deny the incarnations of God or the supreme absolute truth in the human form. But actually, the fact is different. God cannot be subject to our imperfect sensual activities. He is the all powerful, omnipresent personality of Godhead. And by his supreme will, he cannot only create, maintain, and annihilate the whole cosmic manifestation, but can also descend as an ordinary human being to execute the highest mission. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, whenever there are discrepancies in the discharge of human occupational duties, he descends. He is not forced to appear by any external agency, but he descends by his own internal potency in order to establish the standard functions of human activities and simultaneously annihilate the disturbing elements in the progressive march of human civilization. In accordance with this principle of transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality Godhead, he descended in his eternal form as Sri Krishna in the dynasty of the Yadus.
Very
Jai.
nice. Go ahead, Janaravinda Prabhu.
The palace of Rukmini was wonderfully furnished. Hanging from the ceiling were many canopies with laces bedecked with pearl garlands, and the whole palace was illuminated by the effulgence of valuable jewels. There were many flower groves of maliki and camellia, which are considered the most fragrant flowers in India. There are many clusters of these plants, with blooming flowers enhancing the beauty of the palace. And because of the exquisite fragrance of the flowers, the groups of hummingbees gathered around the trees and at night, the pleasing moonshine glittered through the network of holes in the windows. There were many heavily flowered trees of parijata, and the mild winds stirred the fragrance of the flowers all around. Incense burned within the walls of the palace, and the fragrant smoke leaked out of the window shutters. Within the room were mattresses covered with white bed sheets. The bedding was as soft and white as milk foam. In this situation, Lord Sri Krishna sat very comfortably and enjoyed the service of Rukminiji, who was assisted by her maid servants.
Very, very nice. Krishna likes to turn it on, doesn't he? You can carry on.
Rukmini was very eager to get the opportunity to serve her husband, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She therefore wanted to serve the Lord personally and took the handle of the chamara from the hand of a maidservant and began to move the fan. The handle of the chamara was made of gold and bedecked with valuable jewels, and it became more beautiful when taken by Rukmini because all of her fingers were beautifully set with jeweled rings. Her legs were decorated with jeweled ankle bells, which rang very softly between the pleats of her sari. Rukmini's raised breasts were smeared with kumkuma and saffron. Thus her beauty was enhanced by the reflection of the reddish colour emanating from her covered breasts. Her high hips were decorated with a jewelled lace girdle, and a locket of great effulgence hung on her neck. Above all, because she was engaged in the service of Lord Krishna, although at that time she was old enough to have grown-up sons, her beautiful body was beyond compare in the three worlds. When we take account of her beautiful face, it appears that the curling hair on her head, the beautiful earrings on her ears, her smiling mouth, and her necklace of gold all combined to shower rains of nectar, and thus it was definitely proven that Rukmini was none other than the original goddess of fortune, who is always engaged in the service of the lotus feet of Narayana.
Oh, it's a lovely detailed description. So Krishna consciousness can be also translated as a detailed information about God. In fact, intricate, detailed information about God. This is Krishna consciousness. This is Krishna bhakti, where you don't have some vague idea what is God or what is who is the associates, the Lord's wives and paramours, but who, detail, very, very intricate, microscopic detail of the Lord and his pastimes and his associates. This is what Krishna consciousness is offering. Carry on, Ramesh Bhai, the pastimes. Okay, Ramesh Bhai? Okay, I'll carry on. The pastimes of Krishna and Rukmini in Dwarka are accepted by great authorities as manifestations of those of Narayan and Lakshmi, which are of an exalted opulence. The pastimes of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan are simple and rural, distinguished from the polished urban characteristics of those of Dwarka. The characteristics of Rukmini were unusually bright, and Krishna was very much satisfied with her behavior. So in this little paragraph here, there's a very distinct description here between Krishna in Dwarka. He's in his Narayan feature as Vasudev Krishna. So in Vasudev Krishna, Krishna is worshipped in great opulence as Vasudev Krishna, as Dwarkadish. Dwarkadish Krishna is this Vasudev Krishna of Dwarka. Hence, when we worship Lord Jagannath, the Jagannath deity with the big pugri, big jewelry, lots of offerings of food every day, 50 offerings plus every day of bhog to Lord Jagannath. This is Krishna in Dwarka. That's why when Radharani and the gopis and the Brijbasis, they met Krishna in Kurukshetra, they liked Krishna, but they didn't like the place and they didn't like him as a prince in opulence. They wanted to take him back to Vrindavan and strip him of all his princely attire and just make him simple, put a peacock feather in his hair and put a beautiful forest flower garland around his neck. And then this is our Krishna, you see. But they didn't like Krishna as a Dwarkadish Jagannath Krishna. That is the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's always trying to bring Jagannath back to Vrindavan, back to Gundicha, Vrindavan. So when we are worshipping Radha Krishna in the mandir, we don't worship Radha Krishna as Vrindavan Krishna. Yet, he's with Radha. This is another feature which is unusual. He's there with Radha. This is Vrindavan Chandra. And we have deities like Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Gopinath, Radha Kishore Kishori, Radha Brajabihari, etc. But the mode of worship of Krishna and Radha is that of Lakshmi Narayan. This is how we offer the puja. So the mode of puja that we have been taught by the Sanatana Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami in their books describing how to offer puja is to offer worship of the Lord in the mode of Lakshmi Narayan, even though they're Radha Krishna. Unless one is very highly elevated, one can offer Krishna puja as Vrindavan Krishna, but then one has to be a liberated soul like Sanatana Goswami or Rupa Goswami. Otherwise, we worship Krishna as Lakshmi in the Lakshmi Narayan style. Okay, so there we are. That's a little bit about that paragraph there. Okay, Ramesh Bhai, are you back yet?
Yes,
Okay, Krishna had experienced.
and
Carry on.
that, yeah, Krishna had experienced that when Rukmani was offered a Parijata flower by Narada Muni, Satyabhama had become envious of her co-wife and had immediately demanded a similar flower from the Krishna. In fact, she couldn't be pacified until she was promised the whole tree, and Krishna actually fulfilled his promise. He brought the tree down to the earth planet from the heavenly kingdom. After this episode, Krishna expected that because Satyabhama had been rewarded with a full tree of Parijata, Rukmani would also demand something. Rukmani did not mention anything of the incident. However, for she was gave and simply satisfied in her service. Krishna wanted to see her a bit irritated, and therefore he schemed to see the beautiful face of Rukmani in, in irritated condition. Although Krishna had more than 16,000 wives, he used to behave with each of them with familiar affection. He would create a particular situation between himself and his wife in which the wife would criticize him in the irritation of love, and Krishna would enjoy this. In this case, because Krishna could not find any fault with Rukmani, for she was very gay and always engaged in his service. He similarly, in great love, began to speak to her just to provoke her lovely anger. Rukmani was daughter of Bhismaka, a powerful of king. Thus Krishna did not address her as Rukmani. He addressed her this time as the princess, my dear princess. It was a very surprising. Many great personalities in the royal order wanted to marry you. Although not all of them were king, all possessed the opulence and rich of the kindly order. They were well behaved, learned, famous among king, beautiful in their bodily features and personal qualification, liberal, very powerful in strength, and advanced in every respect. They were not unfit in any way, and over and above that, your father and your brother had no objection to such a marriage. On the contrary, they give their word of honor that you would be married with Sasipula. Indeed, the marriage was sanctioned by both your parents. Sisipila was a great king and was so lusty and mad after your beauty that if he had married you, I think he would always have remained with you just like your faithful servant.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, so Krishna, he's engaging in different ways with his different wives, and he can see that, Satyabhama was demanding Krishna, hey, you've given this parijata to Rukmini. Why not? What about me? And Krishna said, "Oh, don't worry, you can have the whole tree," because she had that nature. So because there was no negative response there from Rukmini, he decided, well, let's try and wind her up a little bit here. Let's try to get her irritated. Let's see her get angry with me here. So Krishna is now attempting to make her angry. A very, very difficult thing to do. Okay, Chanavinda Prabhu, what happens next? Oh, he's busy. Jai Prakash, what happens next, Prabhu?
In comparison to Shishupal, with his personal qualities, I am nothing, and you may personally realize it. I'm surprised that you rejected the marriage with Shishupal and accepted me, who am inferior in comparison to Shishupal. I think myself completely unfit to be your husband because you are so beautiful, sober, grave, and exalted. May I inquire from you the reason that induced you to accept me? Now, of course, I may address you as my beautiful wife, but still I may inform you of my actual position, that I'm inferior to all those princes who wanted to marry you.
So here's Krishna now making a very sincere display of humility that Shishupal was a rascal. He insulted Krishna so many times, and he was a very great friend of Jarasandha and all kinds of Kamsa and all these characters. But Krishna, he's now saying that Shishupal actually was far more qualified than myself. Go ahead, Alex.
Hare Krishna. First of all, you may know that I was so much afraid of Jarasandha that I could not dare live on the land, and thus I have constructed this house within the water of the sea. It is not my business to disclose this secret to others, but you must know that I am not very heroic. I am a coward, and I am afraid of my enemies. Still, I am not safe because of all the great kings of the land are inimical to me. I have personally created this inimical feeling by fighting with them in many ways. Another fault is that although I am on the throne of Dwarika, I have no immediate claim. Although I got a kingdom by killing my maternal uncle, Kamsa, the kingdom was to go to my grandfather. So actually, I have no possession of a kingdom. Besides that, I have no fixed aim in life. People cannot understand me very well. What is the ultimate goal of my life? They know very, very well that I was a coward boy in Vrindavan. People expected that I would follow in the footsteps of my foster father, Nandana Maharaj, and be faithful to Srimati Radharani and all her friends in the village of Vrindavan. But all of a sudden, I left them. I wanted to become a famous prince. Still, I could not have any kingdom, nor could I rule as a prince. People are bewildered about my ultimate goal of life. They do not know whether I am a cowherd boy or a prince, whether I am the son of Nandana Maharaj or the son of Vasudeva, because I have no fixed aim in life. People may call me a vagabond. Therefore, I am surprised that you could select such a vagabond husband. Jai Sri Krishna.
There we are. This is Krishna now displaying the ultimate humility here. I mean, he can talk about himself in such a derogatory manner. This is Krishna. How could we speak about ourselves in such a way? I'm sure if we said these things, we would not be meaning it. We would be saying it only superficially. Oh, I'm a dog, I'm a rascal, I'm this, I'm that. But secretly, we think, actually, I'm really great. So Krishna may say this, but he is great. But we are actually rascals. This is the difference between us and God. God is really great. Even he says he's bad and he's unqualified. But he is. He is qualified. We do the same thing. And we're thinking inside, yeah, Ashley, yeah, but they don't really know how great I am. So this is our rascaldom. Carry on, Jigna.
Um, Besides this, I am not very much polished, even in social etiquette. A person should be satisfied with one wife, but you see that I have married many times, and I have more than 16,000 wives. I cannot please all of them as a polished husband. My behavior with them is not very nice, and I know that you are very conscious of it. I sometimes create a situation with my wives which is not very happy. Because I was trained in a village in my childhood, I am not well acquainted with the etiquette of urban life. I do not know the way to please a wife with nice words and behavior. And from practical experience, it is found that any woman who follows my way or becomes attracted to me is ultimately left to cry for the rest of her life. In Vrindavan, many gopis were attracted to me, and now I have left them, and they are living but are simply crying for me in separation. I have heard from Akrura and Uddhava that since I left Vrindavan, all my coward boyfriends, the gopis and Radharani, and my foster father Nanda Maharaj, are simply crying constantly for me. I have left Vrindavan for good and am now engaged with the queens in Dwarka, but I'm not well behaved with any of you. So you can very easily understand that I have no steadiness of character. I'm not a very reliable husband. The net result of being attracted to me is to acquire a life of bereavement only.
Oh dear me. Now I'm sure that whoever's hearing this is going to be starting to get very, very agitated and disturbed. So we'll leave it at that point because my dear beautiful princess comes next, and then we'll carry on next Tuesday to find out the result of Krishna uh, deriding himself in such a way with his wife. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you.
everybody.
Hare
Hare.
Krishna.
See you on Tuesday. Hare
Hare
Bol.
Krishna,
Hare
Hari Bol.
Oh, we've got Crowley Rath Yatra this weekend.
Oh, this weekend, Crawley
Yeah, on the
on
11th,
on the 11th, which is on Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
On Saturday, there's the Brighton Rath Yatra.
Gosh, oh, a full weekend for the Southeast.
Yeah,
Okay, well, if we can make it, we'll be there.
you're welcome.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Enjoy. Haribol.
Thank you,
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.